say depressing, but you know, if you're not in the right state of mind when you hear this stuff, a whole lot of people in Indianapolis at a FedEx who didn't deserve it got gunned down. Uh, I don't think taking all the guns away from the law-abiding citizens is going to solve America's problem. But if you think about this logically, a country like America has to respond, okay? Because the American citizenry doesn't accept silence as a response. Certainly, in there, there's there are times when silence is the appropriate response. There's also in this country, I've noticed in my 5 decades on the planet, a lack of how can I put it, wise spiritual leadership. The problems are usually dealt with on a in a very superficial fashion in America. And the problems in America are dealt with according to factions. This faction believes this is what's right. This faction believes this is what's right. So if we go back to the founding of America in the Bill of Rights, it states very clearly what this country was built on, the beliefs that we were built on: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. You know, being able to pursue your heart's desire, worship the God of your choice, pursue things that lead to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Life requires food, water, shelter, so you got to do that. Liberty requires you to live in a nation that doesn't have tyrants as rulers, and the Gestapo on every corner watching your car go down the road. So if you go 5 miles per hour over the speed limit, you know, I'm just saying, yeah, I understand you need to regulate traffic, but I'm just raising thoughts. Go back to the founding of this country and what it supposedly stood for, and let's not forget, this country was founded for good or bad or worse, whether they were on the mark or off the mark, religious people who believed in a God, and a huge portion of them came here because they were pursuing freedom of religion. So the irony of America is that a country founded on the pursuit of religious freedom because peoples were being persecuted for their beliefs and their actions has become what it hated in the beginning. A country that now persecutes people for being certain color, sometimes a certain religion. If you believe in a certain ideology, one party versus another, you can be definitely pointed out, ridiculed, tortured, killed. So the real question that anybody who has any sense at all in their brain, and I'm starting to wonder if I live in a world where that's really lacking, man. I ain't claiming to be the smartest dude um, on the planet, but I've certainly put myself to the test. And you can go ask my colleagues in college or medical school if I stood up to the test. Yes, common sense. And people don't understand that my intelligence is powered by common sense. No matter how much I can score on an IQ test, what really is pushing me forward, and this is what I'm going to define common sense as: the ability to, without prejudice, emotion, political ideology, or any other uh, confounder, see things as they really are. And you can write that definition down and give it to other people because that's what common sense is. See things as they really are without seeing it through the lens of race, religion, politics, not because I'm seeing it through the lens of greed, envy, prejudice, pride. I want something, so when I see something, I twist it a little bit because if I see it that way, in my mind, in my feeble mind, I believe that there's some way I can twist reality to bend to my will. And here's the thing: true intelligence, true wisdom requires that you understand that that is human nature. Every human being will do that. Every human being will see things through a lens and twist it. Nobody sees reality as it really is. Okay? Let me just restate that. Every human being will twist reality to their own ego desires. Period. Now, if we had a true education in America, every schoolboy would be able to repeat what I just said. And that would be the cornerstone of his education. Before he picked up a book, he would understand what he was up against. That you have been already downloaded with information. You belong to a ethnic group, a country. Your brain has already been hijacked. But we're going to try to educate you as a human being and teach you the laws of this universe and of human behavior that lead to true freedom, peace, and the ability to pursue whatever your heart's desire is without prejudice, pride, ignorance, hatred, violence, blah, blah, blah. I understand that it's difficult to train the average citizen in psychology, philosophy, and metaphysics, but common sense used to be pretty common, which really meant that we lived in a country previously where people were willing, able, and expected to see and speak the truth. The emperor has no clothes. The emperor is buck ass naked. If you want to torture me for saying that, string me up. And in the story, the emperor has no clothes, if I'm not mistaken, there was a little child who said, the emperor has no clothes. And everybody was standing around, oh, emperor, yeah, that's a nice robe you got on. Da, da, da. The little child said, emperor buck ass naked, man. What's wrong with you people? The emperor is buck ass naked. Okay. So we live in a country where everybody will go, ooh, that's a nice Versace. That's a nice Gucci. But the, the emperor is really buck ass naked. And because we live in a country where everybody, what's up, OB? Namaste, bro. Where selflessness is not easy to find. It's not easy to find, even amongst family members. There's degrees of selflessness. And because people don't study themselves, they don't know to what degree they are selfless. Everybody has an idealized, perfect picture of what they think they are. And they carry this picture around in their pocket for their entire lives. 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old people in this country that have never had a psychological evaluation. What's up, Pakalo? Never had a psychological evaluation. It should be mandatory for every human being at age 18 to have a psychological evaluation so I can tell you your personality type, your predispositions, your prejudices, and your thought patterns and style so that I can at least tell you you see reality according to type A personality or your type B personality. So you're going to run into some these type of problems in your life. Not the fortune teller, not the person with the crystal ball, not saying they couldn't do it. It depends on them. But psychology is a standard for the education of the person, right? Yeah, everybody at age before you graduate high school, you should be required for high school graduation to have sat with a not a career counselor, because what's that about? Got to get that money. Got to get that money. Right? Everything's about that, right? So you go see the career counselor. No, no, no. We got people at FedEx's shooting and killing each other. That's what the news today is. Some crazy person in Indianapolis shot up a FedEx, one of the biggest FedExes in the country. So this is what we're producing in America right now. Whether they're import or export, it doesn't matter. We're producing mass murderers, fanatics, hate mongers, greedy ass misers. This is what we're producing. Racist, and that's becoming the majority of the country. Except we're producing these people as the baby racist, baby miser, baby hate monger. Because you don't start out like you know the big thing. The ideals are implanted into your mind when you're the little thing. And like an oak tree, we water those ideas. A father that hates white or black people slowly poisons the child's mind over 18 years. So when he graduates, oh, B, you know I'm gonna speak the truth, bro. Because I don't know how much longer I have on this earth. I already died once. If I die in the next few days, I want to say at least somebody, if it's got to be me, spoke the truth in this country, and it's available for somebody to hear. Because it's not popular in this country to speak the truth. Political correctness has ruined our great democracy, and we're constantly asking our men to give their lives for it. I was in the military. My father was in the Vietnam War, and it really changed my family around. It really destroyed my family, him fighting against communism. And then now we have the Russia interfering in our elections. So what the hell did my father sacrifice? Why did I give up my nuclear family? Because he got PTSD. My nuclear family was destroyed. But that's what America expects as a sacrifice. For what? For what? If this country is founded on truth and freedom, those need to be the foundational stones that everybody's educational experience in childhood is built on. If the majority of the persons in this country had a foundation of truth, okay, real truth, uh, Europa, The Last Battle, great story, never told. Oh, I've never seen Europa. I have to check it out. Thanks, Michaelis Palmas. But we wouldn't be having people going into FedExes. Let's just imagine why the person in the FedEx did it. Did he lose his job? Does he hate white or black or Asians or Mexicans? Does he feel like he was slighted? Is he from a extreme group, Muslim, Christian, Mormon, or other? You know, does he have a psychological problem that has not been addressed? Most likely, one of the things I just said is why this man did it. How do I know? Because I know the country I live in. You know, it's like being a prophet. When you see the source of problems over and over again, you know, no, it'll never stop, but it can reach balances throughout history. Go study the East Indian Yuga cycles. Go study it. And the cycles go like this. And at some point, good predominates. That's the philosophy, if you want that. That's the metaphysics. If you want to say there's nothing I can do about this, the metaphysics says, yeah, there is. You can slowly help push the cycles back to their golden age, their platinum age. Okay. I told my wife today, I said, in 50 years, you're not going to drive a car. You're going to get inside of a car. You're going to speak to it, and it's going to take you to where you want to go. And if you want to sleep while the car is driving, you'll sleep and get your 30 minutes, or in my case, 4 hours of sleep while you're going to work. So if that's the future of our technology, what's the future of our minds? This is more important than the technology that we're pushing. Okay. And as far as good versus evil is, everybody got to make a choice. Which side are you on? It's just that simple. If you're on the evil side, then you're in that corner of the ring. If you're for good, I'm in this corner of the ring. All right, and we go meet in the middle of the ring, and we go fucking slug it out, and somebody's gonna win. And if according to the Yuga cycles, sometimes the evil people win for a period of time, and sometimes the good people win. So really, philosophically, it doesn't matter what you pick. Pick evil. Go ahead, pick it, because you're gonna have a person on the other side equally equipped with good. But when you don't have enough people on the other side equally equipped with good, you go into what's called dark ages throughout history. And the East Indians call them Yuga cycles, millions and billions of years of time. And when these cycles of mankind reach low points, we call them dark ages, but it really is times of ignorance. Ignorance in science, ignorance in metaphysics, religion, ignorance in anything that human beings need to create a decent society. It goes upside down, topsy turvy. For hundreds and hundreds of years, human beings don't know how to make fire, don't know how to run a government, don't know how to build a house, so they live in a cave. You know, we go through these cycles. I mean, hell, if an asteroid hit right now and destroyed everything, I mean, we'd have the knowledge of what we lost. But once the last person died with the technical skill to do a certain thing, you wouldn't have any more people because your universities would be destroyed. Your schools would be destroyed. So you would be dependent on the remnant of human beings. Take care, OB. Oh man, that signal. Yeah, I know about the traveling, man. It's good to see you though, bro, this morning. Good to connect with my brother as always. It's my brother in Christ right there. I'm his brother in Buddha. We're both brothers in righteousness. Because we both believe in truth, regardless of who's saying it. Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Paul, OB, drunken monk. It doesn't matter. We just believe in the truth, man. Dedicating my life to the study of science has made me a critical thinker. You know, you can't spend 50 years studying science and helping people as a physician and not become a critical thinker. It's almost impossible. Now, there's people that are critical thinkers that run on ego. A lot of doctors are like that, but don't think they're not critical thinkers because they were trained to be. They just choose the lesser path, which is I can use my ego to seal the deal. In other words, get the things I want because this country responds to that. This country responds to the big man with the big stick comes in pissed off and starts throwing his weight around. Well, that's the lower path. The saint, the bodhisattva comes in and quietly speaks the truth, maybe not so quietly depending on the situation, and doesn't get the same response. So therefore people say, I don't want to be a saint. I don't want to be a bodhisattva. I want to be a big man with a big stick because that seems to be way more efficient way to get things done. But if they could put on glasses and see the future, they would see that if this kind of behavior predominates, in the future you have desolation, you have slavery, you have human trafficking, you have suffering, you have people walking up into FedExes shooting everybody. Okay, so the real problem in this struggle for good and evil is that when the cycles swing back towards evil, people forget the benefits of good, and they forget the dynamics of good are not the same as evil. It's not as fast. You don't get immediate gratification. Good requires patience. It requires restraint in thought, speech, and actions. It's planting a seed that may not sprout for a long, long time because what's the water for the seed? Well, the water is people educating the young people on this and supporting it with their money and their actions, changing their own thought patterns to align with this righteousness, looking in the mirror and being able to say, I'm not right. But if you can't do that, that's okay. Because in the future, we may schedule your appointment with a psychologist. We may schedule you an appointment with a metaphysician that could sit down with you and say, how do you feel about your life? You know, how do you feel about the course of your life? And in a true society that's based on enlightenment principles, everybody's job at birth is to create the conditions to continue that society. Egypt lasted for thousands of years, right? Other societies, the Nubians, Egyptians, um, probably a pre-Egyptian dynasty. Some of these dynasties lasted thousands of years, and I have a feeling it was mainly peaceful. You had your upper class, you had your priests, you had your kings and queens, but they didn't piss on the average citizen because they had the same goal in mind. Don't forget, in Egypt, the king was concerned with the afterlife. He wanted his soul to ascend to the next level, and he had a whole lot of technology and expertise to be sure of that. So, do you really think a man that's that concerned with the afterlife and going to heaven is going to piss on his people in this life? That doesn't make any sense to me. I think if our president was like with Pharaoh, and he was concerned with the afterlife, and he built a whole lot of machinery and technology around him to ensure in the afterlife he had what he needed to ascend to the next level, he's probably at the very least going to say, "I need to be fair, righteous leader in this life, or whatever I'm building over there is not going to help me." I'm gonna guess the Egyptians weren't stupid enough to drop the ball on this end and believe just so focusing on this end is gonna guarantee you something. If they were, that's sad. But we can look at their mistakes and move forward. But their societies lasted thousands of years with technology compatible to ours because they built the pyramids. Something was lost, some of the details are lost, but we can see through our lens of common sense, insight, truth seeking, that there's a pattern to civilizations. And based on the core belief of each individual, it either lasts and persists in righteousness and peace, or it fizzles up and pops like a firecracker with chaos and ignorance, depending on the core beliefs. So you guys, when you're not teaching your children what it means to be a human being when they're kids, you are not equipping them for this life. If children understand that I am an energetic spiritual force that's trying to understand itself in a physical shell, and for this work to be done, it requires a peaceful society where people coexist in love, equanimity, because we understand that the core of each of us, that energetic core of soul, is the same. If that's really implanted, and I'm gonna tell you something, sitting in Bible school as a kid, hearing stories about Jesus, that's great. But somebody needs to say that. The Bible school teacher can't be afraid to say that to me. She can't be so brainwashed with politics, religion, ethnicity. She has to be an open-minded individual, fearless, saint, bodhisattva. That's why certain persons, when they're born, are blessings to all of humanity. Okay, and they come around ever so often. And there's thousands of people like this in India, in America, all Australia, wherever, all over the place. It's just that the person with the big stick can make things on the physical plane happen fast, the material plane, and that's what people care about. I want my Happy Meal. Well, I'll go to McDonald's. Then you have a heart attack 20 years later, and then you're asking somebody who's used patience and diligence and dedicated their life to facts and science, i.e., a doctor, to save your ass. But what if he decided he wanted to smoke dope and chase prostitutes his whole life? And what if every doctor had decided that? I just won't chase dope and prostitutes and have fun and drive in the fancy cars based on killing other people for drug money. But I can choose that. That's my right as a human being. I don't have to chase truth and righteousness. I can choose to, I can be as evil as the next person. So this whole expectation that somebody's going to pursue righteousness, it's a naive, egotistical, short-sighted human trait. The belief that the next person will pursue sainthood while you pursue earthly pleasures, uh, ego gratification, knowing that pursuing earthly pleasures and ego gratification will lead you to a dead end. And then you need the person that pursues sainthood to give you a little bit of wisdom. But the expectation is what I'm talking about, because this leads to dark ages in the Yuga cycles. Because sooner or later, everybody's expecting everybody else to be the one up, the Einstein, the Gandhi, the Martin Luther King, and there are none left because everybody expected the next guy to do it, and you end up in a dark age. You see how this works? And one day it gets so dark, even this wisdom I'm speaking right now doesn't exist. Because you gotta understand, I came up studying religion, psychology, all the great endeavors of humankind were given to me in this lifetime in America, because America did at a certain point have a predominant, let's say, function in ensuring freedom and ensuring the family unit was stable, ensuring that the widow and the disabled person were taken care of. That is what we used to stand for. So I have access to certain knowledge. I can freely study what I want without some Gestapo person putting a gun to my head and shooting me because I read a Bible. Because in Russia, at one point, if you had a Bible, you would be shot and killed. And my understanding is, at least in prison, you would get in trouble. I learned this in high school. They were like, "Yeah, in Russia, you can't have a Bible, man. If they find a Bible in your house, oh boy." I was like, "Really?" And that was the first time I realized as a child that every country is not like America. It's certain things you hear as a child and they really click and they, oh, okay, I live in a special place, you know? And parents need to be teaching their kids this. They live in a special place. America is a special place in history, in human history. And there are forces that are trying to erode this free thinking. And free thinking, here's the thing: when you base your existence on compassion and wisdom, certain actions are not compatible. So I can go live in a commune and be buck naked and eat grass if I want and dance at the moon every night. But here's the thing: once the sun comes up in the morning, how does the next person feel? The three women I had sex with in the orgy, what's our relationship like, right? The person who I dropped acid with that night, what's our relationship like 2 weeks later, a month later? See, and this is the level you have to think on. If you're afraid to think of any possibility, good or evil, then you're limited, because this is the lab. In the lab, we have to test possibilities. So if I'm afraid to say the word orgy and imagine what it's like to be in an orgy, then there are certain situations I could never ever fathom in my mind. You see how it works? Truth, truth should not be feared, because there are people that lived in communes in American history and had orgies. You can go look it up. And if you want to see how it turned out, you can. If I recall, it turned out a lot of heartbreak, and the communes got broken up. So those experiments didn't lead to utopia, but they did discover things about the human spirit and human behavior, human psychology. You know, at some point, the girl and the boy in the orgy are going to fall in love with each other, and they're going to say, "We don't want to be in the orgy anymore because I don't want so and so's penis in my girl's vagina, and vice versa." I mean, that's human nature. You're gonna, and we figured this out through somebody tried it. Somebody tried it back in California. Back in the 60s, they had their communes. You know, that's right. We experimented with this. We tried it, and some man got butthurt because he liked Brenda's breast a little more than the next guy, and he fell in love with her. And then he sees the next guy's penis in her, and he goes, "I don't know if I like this commune thing anymore." So we don't live in communes now because we understand people have feelings. They get emotionally attached. We can't just all have sex with each other in one room for the rest of our lives. So we matured beyond that. Some people may choose that, but they may want to do their research before they go there. So really, the point I'm trying to make here is that from childhood, you have to teach human beings the truth of their humanity, and you can't replace that with religion. You can't replace that with political ideologies unless you want to create a controlled matrix type Gestapo state. Okay, because the human mind is expansive to the point of infinity. And this is also what people don't understand. We're made in the nature of our creator. Our creator is infinite. Therefore, my mind is infinite. So when you put me in a box, you're taking from me my abilities to create and imagine like the God of my creation. Yeah, exactly, Mike. 'Cause, let's talk about the experiments of humanity. This is an experiment in democracy. They're going to be talking about this in 100 years from now. They're going to say, how did it go? Egypt lasted 3,000 years. America lasted 200 years, a couple of 100 years, 300 years. What was the difference in America and Egypt? And don't even. I know how y'all think, man. Don't even think. Don't say, oh, the Egyptians were simple farming people and they were simple minded and they weren't doing anything but sitting around and growing wheat and staring at the wall for 3,000 years. They didn't have philosophy, math, science. If you think that, then you're ignorant. And this conversation probably ain't for you. You need to go like read up a little bit on history and then come back to this conversation. We have compassion and we love you, but you're wrong. The Egyptians weren't sitting around picking their toenails and eating wheat and staring at the walls for 3,000 years. They were creating science and technology and philosophy, a lot of which is a part of American way of the philosophies that led to our Constitution. A lot of that came from the ancients, man. A lot of it. And if you don't do your research, you won't know that the Egyptian mystery systems influenced Greek thought. Greek thought led to what we have in Great Britain and America. It's just facts, man. It's just facts. And if the emperor has no clothes and I can't state it, then I don't live in a free republic. I live in a police state. And just say, just tell, yeah, it's fine. Just tell me I'm in hell. I'm in a police state. I'll do the appropriate things to survive in hell in a police state. But don't tell me I live in a free, enlightened society when the black kid walking down the sidewalk can't walk down the sidewalk without being threatened by the big, powerful army white man because of just his color of his skin. Believe it or not, there was a time in history when nobody noticed skin color. Oh my God. Can you imagine that? People's minds literally did not have the concept of skin color and race. And I know a lot of y'all just have not thought about that, but it's the truth. They didn't live. They may have been worried about what they're going to eat. You know, does my wife have TB or dysentery? Or, are the Mongol hordes are going to run through my village and kill us? They had other things they worried about. But they didn't say, "Oh, so and so's a little too dark. Oh shit, boy, don't let the sun set on your ass." In this village, they didn't think like that, man. And this is the value of education: is that you're taught to think way outside of your comfort zone. Most of the people that I love, but just be honest with you, most of the people that I love are closed-minded people, man. And it hurts me to say that. It hurts me to say that. And if I say it to their face, they're gonna get mad. They'll get butthurt. Well, I got money and I got this. Yeah, yeah, but you're closed-minded. You have material things, but you don't have true freedom because this wasn't developed properly. This tool has to be developed with the exquisite care it takes, way more than it takes to develop a computer. This is billions of years in development. Your computer is a few hundred, maybe a few thousand years in development. Which tool you think is more exquisite? This tool right here? Yeah, people don't understand the mind. And that's why we're constantly in the state we're in. And it used to be that the royal classes and the monks hijacked the knowledge, but they haven't hijacked the knowledge right now. It's every person's choice if they want to learn the history of humanity. Where did modern thinking come from? What was the ancient philosophy really like as far as what the world and universe were? If you follow the thread, you will see why we think the way we think. And then you can choose to either think that way or not. That's freedom. That's what America offered that other countries didn't. Because other countries said, you will think this way, you will do this. But we're slowly becoming what we hated because of ignorance, wisdom, and compassion. That's the center of the mandala. That's what I was taught. And I cannot think of any other qualities that will lead me to freedom faster than wisdom and compassion. So on that, I'm gonna keep this one short. Namaste. Keep it short because there's some important points in what I said, and I think you guys got to meditate and think about what I said to really internalize it. Love you guys. Don't get too depressed when you listen to the news today. Just understand. Namaste, namaste, brother Moose. Understand that this is what I wrote on Facebook yesterday. I said the solution to problems are usually their opposites: hate, love; greed, charity; um, ignorance, wisdom; violence, peace. But you have to generate the opposite in yourself, which means you have to see you don't have the opposite thing in yourself. You got to see the greed, the ignorance, the attachment, the running from anything that's painful. You got to see that in yourself before you can create the opposites, which is long suffering, enduring, wisdom, tolerance, love. And it's not easy because people are going to piss you off repeatedly, and you're going to want to go back to the barbarian way of doing things. But the enlightened way of doing things is the age that we're headed to. So we can all push it in that direction. Heavenly dude, what's up? What's up? Namaste. Well, we be putting in that work, Heavenly. We be putting in that work, man. Look, yeah, y'all know I died about a month ago, man, and I was lucky. I was lucky the nurses I work with brought me back, so I don't take any day for granted. I didn't before, but God gave me a gift. He gave me a gift. He said, "I know you believe that," and I prayed every day that I woke up. The Sanskrit proverb. Go look it up. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I be spoon feeding y'all too much. Go look up the Sanskrit proverb. That's my prayer every morning when I wake up. Living today. But he said, you know what? I'm gonna let you die for a little bit, just to give you that little bit of extra. That little bit of extra that pushes the greats over the finish line. I'm gonna help you out. So that's the gift I was given when I died a month ago. It's like that little bit of extra. Now I don't take any day for granted. I do believe each moment I have to watch this and continue to work on this. And when I see the problems in the media, I understand it's because of ignorance, and a lack of wisdom, ignorance, and a lack of compassion. You know, you already know. When you see a problem, you have to generate the opposite. The ancients knew this. If you see a fire in the woods, do you run at it with gasoline? No, you run at it with earth and water. Do you not? So to solve the problem, you have to bring the opposite, which is also composed of the same substance, but we don't want to get into that. We don't want to get into that. That's too deep right now. In other words, earth, air, fire, and water each contain an element of the other thing in it and can become the other thing. But you bring water and earth, right, to fire. Then when you want to master earth, you bring fire. This is how it works, man. But if you don't see the thing in yourself that needs the opposite, then you can't ever fix it. And so most of the time when I get in arguments with people, with my family, it's because I'm telling them an observation that I've seen for a long time. I'm not just pulling it out of my ass. And they're welcome to criticize me, but the thing is, people can't have these kind of open conversations. They can't psychoanalyze each other in a group and do a Johari window type exercise, which is what it is, because people get butt hurt and their egos get hurt. So they crawl back into their turtle shell. The shell is the ego and all the things that protect them from the reality and the truth. And they stay in there for another 20, 30 years and they don't grow. A lot of y'all haven't grown since you were in the kindergarten. Okay. And if you think growing is easy, then you're naive. It takes fearlessness to face who you really are and say, I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to be the highest level of human existence. I want to be the saint. I want to be the bodhisattva. I want to be the pure example of a human being, not tainted and run by ego. What does it mean to be enlightened? There's no ego. What does that feel like? Who wouldn't desire that if they had any sense in their head? But it requires wisdom. And that wisdom is a lifetime of work. That compassion you're trying to generate is a lifetime of work. I fail miserably all the time. Don't think that I don't fail miserably all the time. I get mad at people. I cuss at people. Other day, I was talking to my mama. She started crying. Trust me, I'm not perfect. I'm far from it, man. The only thing I have is that I'm willing to face the truth, and I'm willing to generate the opposite thing when I see that the thing that I have is counterproductive. Fell forward. Well, you make your mama cry, man. You pretty fucked up. But sometimes when I speak truth, I go overboard and I forget about the compassion part. And you need both. But sometimes when problems have been lingering in your family for 40, 50, 60 years, you're like, you know what? You know, I don't know. It's a work in progress, man. You can't force people to mature. You can't force people into the truth. Sorry, mama. After that, I said I love you and I hugged her and I didn't say I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for speaking truth. But sometimes, y'all got to realize that I'm a mixed martial artist, man. I'm a samurai. Sometimes I pull out the sword and I cut, and sometimes I don't know when not to pull out the sword and cut. Sometimes I need to leave the sword sheathed and just you know. But I don't know how. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to talk around the truth. That person died a long time ago. When people bring problems to me about who I am, I don't cry about it. I don't wear diapers, man. If you tell me I'm completely effed up, but you know what happened after that? After I did that, everybody grew. Everybody moved forward. And that's what it takes, man. Sometimes we gotta cry. Sometimes we gotta rattle the cage. Sometimes we gotta hurt the people that we love and they can hurt us. And then if we all don't kill each other and we can just go inside our hearts and minds and sit with that thing and really look at it, is that true? Is it not true? If it's not true, I can go back and tell the person that I love, I hear what you're saying, but this is what you don't know about what's going on in here. Because I can't read your mind. I can't read your mind, right? You have to tell me. Yeah, the mamas, man, the daddies want to hit you in the face, but my mama told me last week, said, I can't whip you no more, but you need to do such and such. She was joking with me. And I was looking at her like, man, you talking about spanking a 50-some-year-old man who's got multiple belts in different martial arts and trained with multiple weapon systems by the military. Like, yeah, it's a little bit harder to spank me now. But it was in love. It was funny to me. Even though I didn't laugh, I just looked at her like, "What you talking about spanking, man? You barely could spank me when I was a boy because you could barely catch me." And I didn't need that many spankings. I was a good kid, okay? So, hey man, you a daddy's girl. Oh, you like my little ding ding there, huh? Who's sitting over there? That's you, huh? Daddy's girl. The princess, man. Hey man, namaste. I hope this word helps somebody, man. I really do, man. She's grown. Y'all don't understand, man. Like after dying and coming back and having a lifetime of pursuing wisdom, and it's still not really making a huge change in the world. That I see my journey. I see my job that God has, sent me back for, and I'm just trying to do it a little bit better, a little more tactful. Sometimes a little less tactful. Sometimes I got to dig up in your chest, and that's just what it's gonna be. But I'm just trying to become that perfected human being. It's a goal that I will never reach. That's the Bodhisattva vow. You know, the desires of my heart are endless. I vow to be rid of them all. It's a paradox, but I choose to live in that paradox because I see that when you can reach those goals on any level, humanity becomes much different. We reach golden ages, and our children can go down the streets and not get shot and not get ran over by drunk drivers and killed, which I've seen unfortunately in my career. It's going to take each one of us to create that utopian society of the future. We can't sacrifice not one person. The material attitudes of this world, oh, throw 50 in the fire, shit, we got 20 more over here, we got 1,000 more over here. You know, each person is a point of eternity and a point of God consciousness. So how are you going to sacrifice that in one and not sacrifice it in everybody? Hey, Heavenly, namaste. I'm a student for life. I'm a student for life, and as hard headed and crazy as I am, I'm as open minded and what's the word? Not crazy, literate, sane. But I've worked on my heart throughout my life, and I've tried to connect this to this, and it's just a work in progress. I recognize where I'm short. I recognize where I'm strong. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know you get it. Sometimes I state things for people listening that don't know. Something I learned in education that in the classroom, the kid that gets it will say, "Just move on, teacher. I'm tired of that." But the kid next to him is going, "I don't know what the fuck Pythagorean theorem is. I don't know what that shit is." But he's quiet because he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed because the smart kid's like, "I'm tired of this shit." So because I was always a smart kid, I've learned to pull it back. I've learned to pull it back. Break it down, exactly, man. When you break things down, you see the truth. In chemistry, we break things down so we can see the truth. Oh, you think you got water? That's hydrogen and oxygen. I broke it down. Now you see truth. Put it back together. That's true too. But you got to see the yin and the yang. You got to see both sides of the equation, right? To see truth, the black and the white is required. If you see half the equation, ain't no such thing as half enlightenment, a half saint. You got to see truth. Then that's a work in progress. If that's not something you value in your life, if you value money more than that, it says in the Bible they have their reward. Then you'll get your reward. But don't expect this. Don't expect an enlightened mind as a reward, because that don't come with chasing materialism. That comes with a life of sacrifice. That's what you call sainthood. All right, people don't realize that sainthood has certain benefits. One of them is an enlightened mind, and that don't come without some work. Real talk. So namaste. Yeah, ask. ASK. What is the Before I go, Heavenly, what is the ASK? Because I see you You did it like an acronym. I don't know that one. I'm gonna learn some. What does the A, S, and the K stand for? Probably a telemarketer. Ask, seek. There you go, baby. There you go. Knocking, the door shall be open. Seeking, you shall find. I love it, man. I love it. All right, my brothers and sisters on this path. Until next time, each one teach one for real. Teach two if you can. And more importantly, teaching is by example. You ain't got to open your mouth. Just be the thing. Be the thing in the world that you want to see. Hopefully, it's good. All right. Until next